A NASA task force is holding its first meeting on UFOs.
It's common knowledge that at least 90% of the ocean's waters remain unexplored. Within the 10% of the ocean familiar to man, new and unique phenomena are sometimes unearthed and treasures are found. Lost and underwater kingdoms, as well as ancient civilizations, have also been found at the bottom of the ocean. Several expeditions to explore the yet unknown waters have been going on without public awareness. A Navy team was chosen to go on one of the secret missions, funded by tech entrepreneur and space nerd Elon Musk. During the Arctic expedition, the Navy team got the biggest shock of its life and quickly reported its finding to Elon Musk, who leaked it to the world. What was this discovery that had the sailors both excited and confused? What could have been so newsworthy and groundbreaking that Elon could not contain his silence? Join us as we see these questions answered in today's episode. At the exploration site, it is reported that the Navy felt like they were not making any headway. Then they came across a marine ecosystem that had never been seen in an underwater river, deep below the surface of Antarctica. The explorers had immediately taken pictorial proof and transmitted it. Elon Musk had been opportune to be at the facility when the information came through. In excitement, he stated that they had succeeded in bringing a hidden world to light. Musk had then revealed photos of a dark, cave-like space with swarms of tiny creatures which looked suspiciously like shrimp. The scientists discovered that the hidden subterranean habitat beneath the Larsen High Shelf is a shelf of ice connected to the eastern coast of the Antarctic Peninsula that birthed the world's biggest iceberg. Satellite imagery had shown a weird grove in the ice shelf, which researchers later identified as a subsurface river. As soon as this river was discovered, the scientists set to drilling. They got to about 500 meters below the ice's surface with a solid hot water hose till they reached the underground chamber. When they finished drilling, the team deployed a camera into the freshly dug tunnel and down the cavern. It was at that point they met an astonishing surprise. Thousands of what looked like bubble flecks initially obscured the cameras from getting proper feedback. The researchers thought that the equipment had developed some faults. It was only when they refocused the cameras that they were able to catch glimpses of the tiny shrimp-like creatures, which have been identified as amphipods. The reason that the scientists were so surprised was that living creatures were not expected that far down the ice surface. Alongside the powerful cameras used during this expedition was the rover, a bar about 1 meter long with a big wheel on each end. This NASA robot is programmed to turn itself off and on when required in between collecting measurements, which would be of utmost interest to scientists. This ability would let it stay locked beneath the ice for long periods without needing to be recharged. The rover is made for more than simple roving. It also comes with its own sets of instruments, including 2 cameras and probes, and it measures factors such as oxygen levels, pressure, water temperature, and salt levels. Craig Stevens, an oceanographer with the National Institute of Water and Hemispheric Research, acknowledged these claims in a statement where he said, "Having all those animals swimming around the camera means an important ecosystem process is happening there." The discovery of the secret shrimp-infested structure had the team jumping up and down for joy. Before this discovery was made, scientists were already of the belief that there was an extensive network of lakes and rivers underneath Antarctica. However, those theories have not been given much attention, at least not until now. But the most surprising was not the vast network of rivers and lakes beneath Antarctica. It was more about the shock of finding any living creatures underneath the ice's surface. The discovery of life forms under Antarctica is an even more crucial discovery for scientists as well as biologists. Hugh Horgan, lead researcher and glaciologist, could not contain his joy. He said getting to sample and observe this river was like being the first to enter a hidden world. The camera deployed into the drilled hole brought forth new knowledge. The researchers imagined the chamber's roof would be smooth and flat, like a regular slab of ice. The camera revealed the opposite, with the roof being uneven and several steep undulations. It was also discovered that the cavern became much wider as you got closer to the roof. According to Craig Stevens, the newly discovered cavern resembles a loaf of bread, with a slight bulge at the top and a narrow slope at the bottom. While Elon's team was still gaining its bearing from the shock of discovering the amphipods, they made another discovery. The water column underground was divided into 4 or 5 even, clear-cut layers of water flowing in opposite directions. This changes all current data and explanations we have and our understanding of such environments. Stevens mentioned that they had their work cut out to understand what it all means. The team had arrived above the buried river in time to make another interesting observation. They set up camp some days before the eruption of the Hunga Tonga Hunga Ha'apai volcano. The volcano's eruption generated pressure waves that affected the atmosphere around it. The sensors that the Navy team had placed beneath the surface of the ice recorded similar pressure waves moving around the underground cavern. Seeing how a volcano that erupted thousands of kilometers away affected the cavern was nothing short of impressive, and Stevens said that it was a reminder of just how connected the entire planet is. While the explorers observed the newly found underground ecosystem, they also expressed concern for it, stating that the rapidly warming temperatures caused by climate change may be a potential threat to the safety of this new ecosystem. The climate is changing, and some key focal points are yet to be understood by science. But what is clear is that great changes are afoot, Craig Stevens said. Well, it could just be human fear of disrupting a newly found ecosystem. While this team pressed further with this discovery, another team in which Elon Musk himself participated made another discovery in the same Arctic region. It started when a team of researchers deployed a robot underwater. The robot was a remote-operated ice fin, an underwater vehicle which was used to explore one of the numerous seawater-filled caves in the Arctics. It had been floating in the water without recording anything odd, until it suddenly displayed an unusual phenomenon. The camera had captured walls of cloudy, smooth, meteoric ice as it turned green and rough in texture. The process was recognized as proof that ice pumping happened. This was quite the discovery, as this phenomenon has never been observed in real time on an ice shelf. The discovery left the team shell-shocked, but the best part was yet to come. The Elon Musk team had then managed to stumble upon DNA from ancient microorganisms, with some of the DNA dating as far back as 1 million years ago. These samples were discovered beneath the Antarctica seafloor. Scientists on Elon's team have studied the samples and found that it is the oldest DNA to be unearthed from seafloor sediment. It is notable to mention that this DNA discovery was not an intentional or pre-planned expedition. Scientists had accidentally stumbled upon the DNA about 178 meters beneath the sea floor as part of a survey led by the International Ocean Discovery Program and Elon Musk in the Scioscia Sea, north of mainland Antarctica. This, however, was not the first time such a discovery was made. About a decade ago, a couple of scientists who were also on an expedition on the Arctics, sponsored by NASA, discovered a staggering number of phytoplanktons thriving under the sea ice in the Arctic Ocean. Now, scientists working alongside Elon Musk are using underwater instruments and a NASA satellite to find better insights into this odd discovery. They have found substantial proof to back up the claims of potentially significant blooms of life beneath the sea ice. Phytoplanktons are to the ocean what grass is to land, and they operate like this. Phytoplanktons are microorganisms that absorb the sunshine and sponge mineral nutrients from the environment and create their energy using photosynthesis. Phytoplanktons are capable of thriving in any environment where you would find open and sunlit patches of the ocean. When conditions are conducive enough, these phytoplankton cell collections can become stable enough to the extent that they become visible from the space observatories. They are a valuable member of the ocean's ecosystems, a vital food source for all life in the oceans, and a key carbon recycler for the planet. Before these recent studies emerged, old wisdom held that the ice cover prevented phytoplankton growth for a good part of the year in the oceans surrounding Antarctica, because of the limited amount of sunlight that penetrates the water below the ice levels. New evidence, however, shows that there are just about enough cracks and gaps and several thin spots that allow the required amounts of sunlight to trickle beneath the dense ice and spur the continuous growth of these incredibly important microorganisms. Around Antarctica, the compact sea ice gives the idea of imperviousness to sunlight. Still, with views from beneath the surface of the ocean alongside the use of more sophisticated instruments, such as the laser-eyed IceSat-2 owned by NASA, scientists have been able to deduce that the ice sheets are riddled with many cracks, fissures, and openings that allow light to pass through and go straight into the ocean to provide sustenance to organisms who need it. The team carefully measured the damage pattern within the recovered DNA fragments to determine their age. It was in dating these DNA fragments that the oldest of the samples was found to date back 1 million years. Linda Armbrecht of the Institute for Marine and Antarctic Studies confirmed this by saying, "The fragments are the oldest authenticated marine ceta DNA discovered to date. They have been exceptionally preserved due to low temperatures, reduced oxygen concentrations, as well as the absence of UV radiations." Scientists, however, are skeptical about the species the oldest DNA belongs to, although it is believed to have originated from a eukaryote, which means it would be from an animal, fungi, or plant. All links to any bacteria or virus have been ruled out. Another thing that scientists have discovered is that several of the DNA samples belong to diatoms, a type of phytoplankton that still exists in the world's oceans to this day. These diatoms form the basis of the marine food web. It is said that the DNA recorded from the North Antarctic shows that there was most likely an explosion in the diatom population in the oceans about 540,000 years ago, right around the Earth's natural warming phase. Scientists and researchers wrote in a paper that increased ice loss from Antarctica's ice sheets and rising ocean temperatures had possibly caused or influenced the rapid population growth of diatoms. The Elon Musk team of researchers also thought that human-caused climate change might also generate similar conditions that caused the first diatomic population explosion. The team believes that understanding more about the ecosystems transformed during the earlier warming period is crucial for understanding how they might change again. Linda Armbrecht also stated that Antarctica is one of the most vulnerable regions to climate change on Earth, so studying this polar marine ecosystem's past and present responses to environmental change is a matter of urgency. There has been an almost back-to-back streak of discoveries in the Arctic simultaneously by the Elon Musk team of researchers. The scientists thought the DNA unearthing was the last of the surprises until they were struck with a new one. This discovery started with a new satellite image that revealed that the world's largest iceberg, A76A, had entered the Drake Passage. This waterway is made of a fast-moving ocean current that would send the iceberg a smooth and swift ride toward its untimely demise. After almost a year of gently cruising around the Arctic waters with barely a dent in its size, these unfortunate tidings may just be what would spur its accelerated end, as new satellite images reveal. The iceberg. A76A is nearly 135 kilometers long and about 26 kilometers wide. As of today, it is the biggest fragment of the former world's most enormous iceberg, the A76, which was the size of Rhode Island. The A76 broke off the western side of Antarctica's Ronne ice shelf in May 2021 and got divided into 3 chunks: A76A, A76B, and A76C. All the chunks of the former A76 remained in Antarctica, where they cooled and ambled till the new satellite imagery showed the A76A, the largest of all 3 chunks, floating into Drake's Passage. This deep waterway links the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans between Cape Horn in South Africa, the South Shetland Islands north, and the Antarctic Peninsula. The image showed the iceberg between the South Orkney Islands and Elephant Island. Its trajectory, however, gave clues that the iceberg would move further up north into the waterway. According to the Earth Observatory, this is a major concern because whenever icebergs amble into Drake's Passage, they are rapidly dragged eastwards by the passage's strong ocean currents and whisked northward up the waterway and into warmer waters, where they are, sadly, completely melted. The A76. A has traveled over 2,000 kilometers since it broke away from the Antarctic Peninsula. It has managed to mitigate ice loss throughout its many travels, and data has revealed that the iceberg has managed to remain roughly the same size as it has been since its inception. However, the probability of the A76A remaining intact for much longer is highly improbable, as Drake's Passage is especially notorious for dragging unsuspecting icebergs down its path toward their watery grave. The reason for this iceberg-killing phenomenon that is Drake's Passage is the Antarctic circumpolar current. It is the only current that flows completely around the globe and has more water than any other current on the planet. The Antarctic circumpolar current that flows through Drake's Passage carries somewhere between 95 and 150 million cubits of water per second. As a result of this high volume of water coupled with the rapid velocity of the water, any wandering iceberg that crosses into this pass is quickly pulled away from its home in the Antarctic and dumped in warmer waters, where it meets its end. The Antarctic circumpolar current is not the only water current that has a direct effect on the shortening of the lifespan of icebergs, as smaller currents have also had their fun assassinating smaller icebergs.